Okay, so as we've seen in the introduction, this symposium is about bringing scientific knowledge and practice together. So this is more about a practical design practice viewpoint. So I'll guide you through a process of the design for one specific building, and I hope we can have some interesting learnings from that. So I work at TES, an engineering office specialized in facade and structural engineering. So the building we're looking at is the Grand Palais. So that's, I think most of people that went in Paris have seen that building. That's a large structure. It's 200 meters long. It's 45 meters in span, and it's was built more than 100 years ago for exhibitions, and it's still used for exhibition and art events. So the context here is this building was designated to host the fencing and the taekwondo competitions for the Olympic Games. So the question was how you adapt this kind of building to the purpose it was meant to fulfill. So, but let's first look at the general sustainability issues. So you can ask questions about what is the carbon footprint of what is environmental impacts globally of this kind of events. So here that's based on a very detailed report of the French administration about what is the carbon footprint of this kind of events. So the first thing you see is that the impact is mainly driven by transportation issues. So it's basically moving all the people to the place. So that's 2/3 of the impact. Infrastructure, so the construction of the infrastructure and also renovations of the infrastructures is only 20% of the carbon budget. And then here you see comparison between carbon footprint of the Paris Olympic Games compared to other ones. So it's half of it, of the impact we had in Rio Games, but also a lot less than London Games. So one important reason for that is that why the Paris Games were a lot less impacting on, if you look at the carbon footprint criteria, is that there was a really intention to use as much as possible existing infrastructure. And the Grand Palais was one of these examples. They only, while there's a percentage given there, there's 95% of the infrastructure was already there, and it's just a question of putting up to scale to match the functions. So if you ever want to organize Olympics, you should know that you need to comply with the whole book of specifications that's given by the Olympic Committee. And one of these chapters in this book is about is given by the Olympic Broadcasting Services. So that's also all the things about broadcasting the events. So they have very specific rules for each sport, and so the main strict compliance you need to fulfill for this space was a maximum horizontal luminance of 3000 lux, a uniformity with the criteria that's shown here, and absolutely no direct sunlight on the field of play. So the field of play is in fact the red boxed area you see here on the field. So that's basically the area where the athletes are with the sign of security area around it. So of course, when you do that design, you need to fulfill. Daylighting was really a driver in this concept to adapt this building, but there are also a lot of other issues you need to fulfill. Architectural quality, just to name a few ones, structural issues. So you hang in a structure on a very old building, but also fire safety, occupant safety, speed of installation, and carbon budget. So all things come together. Here you see, let's look at the concept that was developed for this project. So here you see a section of the building with a span of 44 meters. Here you see the concept was using big modules of fabric that were hung with kind of straps to the existing steel members. You see it here is symmetrical. On the top you had a special screen, and here if you zoom out to this area, there was a catwalk there, so there was a special thing because we needed to keep the flow for the ventilation. So that's for natural ventilation, for when there's overheating in volume, as well for smoke exhaust in case of fire. So we needed to keep that area free. So there was a kind of light trap system that was implemented there. But the key point for this project was in fact choosing the right fabric. So because you needed a fabric that was diffuse scattering, so that's a little bit the schematical representation you have there, but also with the right light transmittance. So it was really an exercise of looking at what was available in the market for this kind of fabric and choosing the right one, and then try to comply it with the recommendations. One of the first inputs you need to do the assessment, of course, is the sky exposure, or what kind of conditions you're exposed to. So the question goes back to what is the maximum solar exposure you have in the period of the Olympic Games. So for this, you cannot rely on typical climate files because these are only statistical constructs of grouping just months, measured months for different years. So that is very unlikely that with this kind of information, you get the worst case scenario for this specific period of the Olympics. So the solution was to go to statistical analysis or long-term meteorological data to see what is the maximum solar exposure you can have, especially on the beginning of the period of the Olympics. And then also check it out with theoretical maximum exposure conditions you can calculate with clear skies and low turbidities. So that's just to matching and to check if the information you had was reliable. We also checked it in some way with future climate projections to see if that has a big impact. But of course, for this kind of punctual interventions, that's not the most important thing. Then the simulations were done in 2 parallel tracks. So the first track was done in a radiance-based tool and was meant to see if the conditions of the project was complying with the requirements of the OBS recommendations. So for this, we used a kind of accurate geometrical model, so that was correct geometry of the building, but with simplified elements. So for example, all the glazing is like different elements that overlap each other, so we simplified the glazing, we simplified a lot of things there to make it manageable. So the purpose were there, and then we could show that, for example, on the field of play, of the extended field of play, for an extreme sunny day in July, you never exceed 3000 lux in any point of the condition there. So you see the maximum is there somewhere about 14 hours due to the orientation of the building as well. There's also the uniformity condition that was also met here, that was also correct. It was a little bit more tricky, this uniformity condition, especially at the end of the day. For example, the 6 hour in the afternoon moment was a little bit more complicated to have the good uniformity due to solar angles that are more complicated there. This is just to show you there's also a horizontal plane assessment, but there's also a vertical plane you need to assess and to see what is the uniformity on the vertical plane. A second simulation track was more meant for visual appearance aspects and colors, color aspects in the room. So for this, we used a full detailed geometrical model we received at the beginning, but this model was not very geometrically correct. So the span was not exactly, but it had a lot of details. For example, you see this, all these catwalks were modeled. It was a very, very heavy model. And therefore, this one we introduced these fabrics into the model, and we did a spectral measurements of the 2 kind of fabrics. And these were then fed into the simulation tool. So this is done with a fully spectral simulation tool called Ocean, where you could feed in this spectral data of these 2 screens that were measured in lab conditions before. So I must say that at this point in the project, we still had 2 screens that we needed to assess. So the first one was this white colored screen or neutral colored screen. And second one was a more yellowish screen that was called Champagne. So they still hesitated, and of course both complied with the illuminance levels that was required in the project. So the final decision on the 2 screens were in fact done with a physical mock-up. Because of course, even if you had the best simulation tool, you always have uncertainties, and you need to check that in real set conditions. So that was the kind of physical mock-up that was built at one point of the project, and they installed the 2 screens, one after the other, and then we had a visual assessment and some measurements on the conditions to see what was the best. It was also meant to check the installation issues because we had a very short time to installation. So it also meant to be to see if the overlaps and the junction details were functioning correctly and avoiding light traps. So the installation moment. So we need to say that the installation, there was a test event like 1 year before where a certain number of elements were installed and the full installation was done in June 2024. So we only had 2 weeks to install 50,000 square meter of fabric, so that was really very challenging. But also that's also the moment where surprises happen. So here you see on the last picture, you still had some light traps, so direct light was still coming out of some points. So that was the moment where you need to be creative to see what the solution we had there. So one of the means we had to track this direct sunlight passing through was using a camera. So we installed the camera at one point, and it was looking down to the field of play, and then we could track if there was direct sunlight spots on the field of play, and then we could track it down with this kind of sun diagrams to see where it comes from, and then try to solve it. So that's very down to earth conditions to solve that. Okay, and that's the result at the end. So that's an image from the Olympic Games during the fencing competition. So the feedback we had was really very well appreciated, either by the athletes but also by the audience. The site was really very much appreciated. And just in conclusion, I want to just give you 2 takeaways for the presentation. So the first one is we really need to work on renovation and refurbishment of existing buildings. That's one of the key issues if we want to address carbon budgets. Renovation will always be, or smart renovation will always be much more less impacting than any new buildings. And the second aspect is that we really didn't fully anticipate the spatial experience. So that's what matters at the end for the people. They don't read calculation notes and things like that. So we didn't anticipate fully how it was, how the experience of the people inside the room was. But in fact, it was really surpassing our wishes, because the projections of the sky, the sun, and also the structure above the fabric was really impressive. And that's what I want to show in the last video. If that works. Yeah. So here you see the impression during, that was still during construction phase. But you see the dynamics of the spatial experience in the space. That was really an interesting element. So, thank you.
Thank you.